Good morning. Today we'll be exploring Psalm 54 together, but really it's an extension of Psalm 52, which we were able to study with Pastor Hollis on Friday. And Pastor Hollis gave us an amazing synopsis of what was happening in David's life that led into Psalm 52. So we're picking up right there at Psalm 52, where David had to flee, not knowing what King Saul was going to do with his life. And David just found out that he was betrayed by a group that reported to Saul his whereabouts. And there was that awful, horrific event where Doeg went in and killed a village of priests. And this is where David's going to pick up crying out to God, who he knows is his helper. Now, Psalm 54 is only 7 verses, but I want to break it into 3 sections for you so you can kind of understand what David's trying to say. The first 3 verses of Psalm 54, we're going to see David crying to God as his rescuer. In verses 4 and 5, we see David's confidence in God. In verse 6 and 7, we see David celebrating with thankfulness. So let's explore Psalm 54. Save me, O God, by your name. Vindicate me by your might. Hear my prayer, O God. Listen to the words of my mouth. Arrogant foes are attacking me. Ruthless people are trying to kill me. People without regard for God. So we hear the cry, the rescue me. He starts by saying, save me, O God. Save me from who? Those arrogant foes, those enemies. He even goes on to say, these are people without regard for God. They are not members of God's community. Well, what I love, though, in this cry out for rescue, David doesn't forget who God is. In fact, he's saying, by your name. Right? By your name, save me, God, as he said in verse 1. By your might, right? He is leaning into that relationship that he has with the Lord. Well, now we're going to see where he's confident in God. Verse 4. Surely God is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me. Let evil recoil on those who slander me. In your faithfulness, destroy them. David knows that God is his helper, that his hand is in everything. He's not saying, I can do this or I can do that. He's saying, Lord, you are my help. You are the one who will sustain me. And he says it there. And then thirdly, David doesn't forget to celebrate God, right? Now, in verse 6, I will sacrifice a free will offering to you. I will praise your name, Lord, for it is good. You have delivered me from my troubles, and my eyes have looked in triumph on my foes. David is filled with praise. He wants to thank the Lord for all that he has done, the things that he has delivered him from, the troubles that he has faced. He knows that God has been his helper. Can't you just feel David's excitement of, like, I don't know what else to do but offer this free will offering, right? I'm just so thankful. Now, how do we take a psalm like Psalm 54 and relate it to, the year 2020? In a world of violence and cruelty, sometimes it may feel like, how can God just make these things right? I'm sure David felt the same way. He had King Saul breathing down his neck, wanting to kill him. And David was thinking, how could God make this right? Well, this psalm reminds us that we can cry out to God, right? And remember his mighty name. That's the name we're calling upon. And that we can remain confident that God is our helper. And finally, not to forget to celebrate and be thankful for the deliverance that God brings us through all of our troubles. So though we may see many powers of this world that will try to thwart the purposes of God's kingdom, we can rest assured as we are God's community that we are being delivered.